Do you remember the first time you sat in an audience awestruck by a magician? Do you remember the feeling that came with it? That feeling that you only get when you see a good magic trick? That feeling that anything is possible, that feeling of being a little kid again, that feeling of wonder. We've all felt it. But have you ever stopped to wonder why we feel wonder? Why does a simple deck of cards and a pair of hands make us feel such awe? What if I told you it's because a card trick is more than a simple deception? It's the fulfillment of the deepest wishes of humanity. My name's Josiah Gunther, and today we're exploring the hidden symbolism of magic tricks with Juan Tamariz. Enjoy. The true beauty of magic doesn't lie, or perhaps just lie, in graceful execution, or in staging, or in aesthetics of decoration, lighting, and costumes, or in the comedy or poetry of the pattern. It is rather a combination of the logical impossibility of the effect with the fascination it produces. Above all, it grants and fulfills the experience of an impossible dreamed wish, making it feel possible. And that sensation often comes to us in a metaphoric form, through implicit symbolism. That's a quote from Juan Tamariz from his book, The Magic Rainbow. And that's what we're talking about today, the symbolism of magic tricks. Now, a little introduction. I just finished reading this book. It's The Magic Rainbow by Juan Tamariz. It's a great book. It's written by Juan Tamariz, considered by many to be the greatest living magician, one of the greatest magicians of all time, and it's just his book of magic theory about pretty much everything. It's a great book, you should read it, but this isn't a magic review or a magic ad or anything like that. Instead, I want to talk about one of the ideas he talks about in here. The idea that all magic tricks, at least all good magic tricks, have symbols ingrained in them, and it's those symbols that make us love them. It makes us enchanted with them. That's why we find magic fascinating, because it fulfills our dreamed impossible wish. But that first glance, that idea seems a little crazy. Like, how did Juan Tamariz get there? Aren't magic tricks just tricks? I mean, they're fooling, they're entertaining, they're fascinating, but like, they're not symbols, right? They don't represent life and death and freedom and liberty and all these cool things, right? Well, they do. And here's how Juan Tamariz got there. Juan Tamariz started by examining classic magic tricks that we all perform and love and enjoy. Things like the egg bag, the torn and restored rope, the linking rings, the ambitious card. Now, this started as just a study to see why classic magic tricks become classics. Why do what's special about these specific tricks? What do they have in common with each other? He found a whole set of things: repeatability, good methods, etc. But the number one thing he found really interesting was the fact that they all seem to have symbols that go with them. The linking rings represent imprisonment and freedom. They look an awful lot like chains. That's why you never just link the rings, you always unlink the ring. And the same thing held true with the cut and restored rope. He found that it seems to represent death and resurrection. He thought that the trick it doesn't have often a great method. It's not a terribly fooling trick, and yet people love it. And it's a classic magic trick that we all perform because of these symbols that it has ingrained in them. For the egg bag, it represents the creation of life, death, and resurrection, etc. He found that when he performed the egg bag with a green plaid bag as opposed to a black bag, the impact was a lot less, because he thought that he realized that the bag metaphorically represents death, and death doesn't wear green plaid. This went even farther when he examined the classic trick, the ambitious card, where you stick the card into the middle of the deck and it jumps back to the top. Now, of course, this obvious symbols jump to mind, rising to the top, being ambitious, ambition fulfilled, power, prestige, freedom, etc. But then he realized that when you perform the trick with a signed card, suddenly it's not just you're showing them that this wish is fulfilled, that signed card actually takes on a bit of the spectator's identity. He went on to perform a little bit of experiment using the ambitious card. He tried performing the ambitious card where the card, instead of going to the top, it went to the bottom. And people just didn't like the magic trick as much. It just wasn't as entertaining, wasn't as enchanting. The same thing held true when he did it vertically. He was still sticking it into the middle, and it still was jumping to the top, but people just didn't find it as interesting because it wasn't jumping to the top, it was moving sideways. And, well, where's the symbolism in moving sideways? So, from all of this, he summarized that there really are symbols in magic tricks, and that's why we find them so fascinating. That was Juan's theory, at least, but he wanted to take it one step further. So he made a list of all the greatest magic tricks. He made a list of all the top 100 greatest card tricks of all time, and lists of all the classic magic tricks. Then he made a list of all of humanity's greatest desires, things people really want and love. Juan Tamariz really likes to make lists, apparently. Then he compared the two lists. He found that for every great desire, there was a great magic trick to fulfill it. All the greatest magic tricks corresponded to our greatest desires. And that's really where Juan took this. He realized that humanity loves magic tricks because it represents a fulfilled wish. All magic, at least all great magic, fulfills some kind of wish we want to have. We want to have infinite power, we want to have infinite knowledge, we want to be able to read minds, etc., etc. And we love to imagine that it is possible for these generally impossible wishes to be fulfilled. Most of these things are things we can't do. It's not possible. But we like to imagine it is, and magic lets us pretend that it is possible. Even if it's not us that's receiving the magic, it is, we are at least witnessing the fact that it is possible. And then that would also explain why magic tricks, which involve participants doing the magic, are so much more powerful than ones where the magician just says, here's what I can do, because it allows the audience to imagine for a moment that they can actually do that trick themselves, that they can actually fulfill these impossible wishes themselves. It's not just this thing they pretend and want. Fundamentally, it comes down to the fact that good magic, at least great magic, artistic magic, because I believe magic really can be an art, isn't about fooling people, it isn't about tricking people, it isn't even really about entertaining people, although I'm not saying entertaining people is bad or anything like that, but I think great artistic good magic is not about those things. It's about fulfilling people's dreams and desires, fulfilling their impossible wishes. See, that's why magic can sometimes be amazingly good and other times amazingly bad. It just depends on what we're making it about. If we make it about just tricking people, fooling people, or even just about entertaining people, it won't have the same level of impact. It won't be, well, art. Versus if we make it about fulfilling people's dreams and their impossible wishes, that's when it becomes an art. It becomes, because art always has innate symbolism in it, and great magic tricks that do fulfill those things have innate symbolism. They fulfill those things through their symbolism, and that's what makes it art. Magic as art is about giving people wonder. It's about fulfilling their dreams and wishes. Fundamentally, magic isn't about deception. It's about dreams and desires. Okay, you might be saying, that's great theoretically, Josiah, but what do I do about it? Why does it matter? Sure, maybe some of my tricks have symbolism in them, but what do I do about it? Well, Juan Tamariz had some more ideas. Awareness of implicit symbolism can also help the magician to avoid spoiling it or fighting it. If I know that the symbolism of the egg back is the creation of life, or perhaps rebirth when the egg reappears after its disappearance, death, Why exchange the egg for a lemon, a lead ball, or a light bulb, even though these are more visual, heavy, fragile, dangerous, or difficult to conceal than the egg? See, Juan Tamariz even has ideas of how to apply these theories. It's not just some wishy-washy theory, but these really should change the way we approach magic. Now, I'm not saying that just because you watch this one video, you should go change out your whole repertoire and examine every trick for its symbolism and switch them all out for classic tricks that have real good symbolism or anything like that, although that might not be a bad idea. I am saying that because you know about these things now, I think you should be trying to apply them to your magic. As Juan so wisely said, you should try to avoid ruining tricks by changing their symbolism or just completely getting rid of the symbolism by doing things like changing out the props in a way that's not good, or even changing the effect. See, we should remember this whenever we're trying to change a trick. We shouldn't just change it for the sake of changing and trying to do something new, but actually change it to make it better, to make either like the symbolism more clear or the effect better, or just change it to make the method better. But that's a whole nother video. And so we should keep this in mind when changing magic or trying to make our own new magic. We should try to make new magic that is symbolically good, that represents the fulfillment of some impossible wish. When you're trying to create a trick, you should look at what is the effect, what wish does it fulfill, what is the point of this trick? Is it just entertaining or just fooling? I'm not saying that all magic that's just entertaining or just fooling is bad. Juan Tamariz actually talks a lot about this egg beater trick he does, where there is pretty much no magical effect, but it's still a strong part of his repertoire, something he performs a lot because it's entertaining, it's lighthearted, the comedy is good. We can do a whole other video on comedy and magic. He has a whole section in there about that too. If we're trying to create really good, strong, artistic magic, we need to keep in mind the symbolism of the magic, and that's what makes it artistic, is the fact that it has symbols ingrained in it. As we go forward from here, I want you to keep in mind the fact that there are symbols in good magic tricks. I want you to look out for those symbols, see if you can find symbols in your own magic or other people's magic. And when creating or changing magic, keep in mind those symbols and try to ingrain symbols into your magic and make your magic good and artistic. At least assuming you want to be an artist as opposed to just a fooler or entertainer. To end with one final quote from Juan Tamariz. It goes like this: "Continue the true artistic enjoyment that includes thinking about rehearsing, creating, experiencing, and then bringing others to experience through performances and presentations the beautiful, impossible, dreamed, and fascinating effects that constitute our wonderful art of it." Well, there you have it. That's the hidden symbols and magic tricks, which perfectly explains why magic is art and why we love it so much. Isn't Juan Tamariz a genius? Comment below what symbols you find in your magic tricks, and thank you much for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. If you didn't, still subscribe. You don't have to watch the videos. And till next time.